Camera rolling?
Yeah,
Excellent. All right, Mr. Chairman.
Director, you could please
Morning.
proceed.
Thank you. We'll start with a roll call for quorum. Commissioner Meyer?
Here.
Commissioner Racines?
Here.
Commissioner Pope?
Here.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Naves?
Here.
Commissioner Revel?
Excused, I guess.
And Chairman Gordon?
I'm here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have a quorum, so we'll do some quick announcements first. Agendas and sign-in sheets are outside of the room. If you are here presently, please do fill those out. Next, key decisions pertaining to the Wyoming Staple Token Initiative will be made by the commissioners of the Staple Token Commission or the state legislature in public meetings such as this. Further, the only commissioners are those appointed by statute, the governor, or a majority vote of the commission. At this time, Wyoming Staple Tokens, including the Frontier Staple Token issued by the Commission, are not available for purchase by the public. Smart contracts with the Front Token have been deployed on mainnet Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, Arbitrum Base, Optimism, and Polygon blockchains, and smart contract addresses are published on the Commission's website. As such, any website or platform claiming to sell or distribute Front or Wyoming Staple Tokens should be considered fraudulent. Please do not attempt to purchase tokens from unauthorized sources. Information outside of these public meetings should only be considered factual and legitimate if it is distributed through our official channels. At this time, these are limited to our website at stapletoken.wyo.gov, the Wyoming Legislature website at wyoledge.gov, and our social media channels with the @WyoStable username on Twitter, YouTube, GitHub, and Warpcast. And if it's the pleasure of the Commission, Mr. Chairman, I'd offer to review the agenda and go from there.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this morning, the first thing we'll do is look to hop into an executive session. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Then we will go through our standard updates and approvals after that session. We'll go through meeting minutes for our regular meetings in both July and August, as well as the special meeting in early August. We'll go through the monthly budget review for the month ending August 31st. I'll provide a brief verbal update on both the biennial fiscal year 27 update and submission and the token management rules that have been approved by the Commission as well. I have a few brief documents in terms of policy updates. Again, now that we have the Commission's approved certain policies for the agency, we have the ability through the reserves management rules to make those kind of smaller updates along the way, provided we share them at these regular meetings. As such, we'll go through a few of those. We'll go through our industry update and then next steps, upcoming meetings and events. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I would turn to you and recommend in my capacity as Executive Director that the Commission convene an executive session under Wyoming Statute 16-4-405, subsection A, Romanet 9, for the purpose of receiving privileged advisement from the Attorney General's office.
Commissioners, any comments? And otherwise, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we enter into executive session for the allowed purpose of receiving legal advice.
And I would second that.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Any discussion? If they're not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nays? Okay, we are in executive session. Thanks very much. Stephanie?
Madam Chairman, I think we have Commissioner Naves on the line. Commissioner Naves, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
Great, thank you. I will note that we have reconvened from our executive session. It is currently 10:52. And Chairman Gordon has stepped away from the discussion. Madam Chairman, Christy Racines will be chairing for the rest of the discussion.
Okay, thank you, Director. With that, we'll move back into the regular agenda. We're on item 2, vendor engagement. Is there any conversation, discussion, or motions that the Commission would like to bring?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Pope?
after much review and consideration of my role as a CPA and accountant, and looking at our vendor engagement. One of the things that I would like to do is mitigate what I see as a concentration of risk. And I'd like to make a motion, if you will give me the leeway to do so.
Go ahead.
Okay, due to the concentration of risk inherent in having a single custodian on board, and in recognition of some of the delays we've experienced, I would like to make a motion to direct the director of the Stable Token Commission to begin a second procurement for additional parallel custodial services, with the details of the limits and requirements of that RFQ to be set by the director.
I would second that, Madam Chairman. I'm wondering that, I don't know whether this would be a friendly amendment to say that in addition to custodial services, have the director identify any other areas that need to have redundancy.
I would view that as friendly
Okay.
and amend my motion thereby.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay,
It's always good to have a spare tire.
indeed. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. And let's move into the rest of our regular agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you to the commissioners for the dialogue as well as the Attorney General's office for their support. This should be hopefully pretty quick from here on out. So we'll now go into our updates and approvals section. First on the list is meeting minutes. I've given you a copy of the meeting minutes for our regular meeting on July 17th, special meeting on August 4th, and regular meeting on August 29th for your approval. I am happy to walk through these at the 10,000-foot level or leave it to the commissioner's determination on the approval.
Madam Chairman?
Go ahead.
Do you want these one at a time, or do you want them to take them all at one shot, or what's your preference?
I would prefer whatever you prefer, Mr. Treasurer.
Well,
We've all had the opportunity to take a look at them.
yeah, I looked through them this morning, Madam Chairman. I didn't see anything, and with absent objection, Madam Chairman, I would move all three, which is the July 17th. I think it's August 4th and August 29th.
Perfect. Is there a second for the treasurer's motion?
I'll second.
Any discussions, corrections, amendments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Commissioner Meyer, we have a request to move the mic a little closer to you.
Okay.
Maybe make
Yes.
sure it's on.
All right. Yeah.
Okay, next up on the list is the monthly budget review. Again, the big pieces of paper you have in front of you. I'll walk you through a few of the expenses for the month ending August 31st. Our 100 series, salaries and benefits, is stable as always. For travel, the team had both some in-state and out-of-state. The in-state portion is due to our team travel to Jackson for the Wyoming Blockchain Symposium hosted by SALT. And then the out-of-state travel covers my travel to DC for the CoinDesk Policy Summit, and Keith and our Chief Information Security Officer, Keith Lawhorn, and Senior Business Project Management Analyst, Stephanie Chan, going to the Fireblocks Spark event. Regarding office supplies and printing, $384. That is printer, ink, and notary supplies. That's 50-50 split between the two of them. Our monthly hardware, software, and intangibles is back down to the kind of normal monthly rate for the different SaaS platforms that we use. And again, we had a bump over those last few months due to some of the intangibles in that list. Again, the trademarks we were filing for some of our word marks and design marks, but that work has been done. Moving on to telecom charges, again, that too has returned to its baseline monthly charge. And then there's a fairly robust charge in the 900 series for professional services. Specifically, there was a charge of $98,000 for attorney services. Again, that's the Paul Hastings bucket. Again, that captures several months, July and August, and about half of June. And I will note that was expected, anticipated. We knew we were going to be running hot as we got a lot of the policy work done and the rules hammered out before our technical launch on August 19th. And then the second bucket here in IT services, that's about $275K for an annual Fireblock subscription, plus the monthly service fee from Inca, from Open Source Intelligence. Again, both of these were expected and called out in last month. So while it's a bigger bite of the apple, these should give us a lot of coverage, and these are not necessarily repeatable charges. So at the end of the day, our commission expenses to date for biennial fiscal year 2025 is $1,643,172 out of $5.8 million available. So in other words, we've used about 28.33% of the total budget. We therefore have a remaining budget of $4,156,828 for the remainder of the biennium. In other words, we have 71.67% of the total budget for the remaining 10 months, or 41.67% of the biennium. And I gave you the detail as well, although I don't have anything to call out there beyond what I've already presented. Happy to take any questions on the financials.
Any questions on the financial report for the month?
Madam Chairman, I
Go
might
ahead.
have one. The fire blocks, that's an annual fee, or is that?
That's annual, so
Okay.
through the chair, Commissioner Wallace, that is an annual fee for multiple licenses, and also support from the hands-on support from the team, who we worked with quite closely throughout the launch and still meet with weekly.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I will move on to our next topic, which is the BFY 27 submission update. So to recap a little bit of our prior meeting, our agency is responsible for putting multiple documents together around the biennial budgeting process, BFY 27. That period covers July 1st of 2026 through June 30th of 2028, and our agency is expected to provide budget and other planning documents to the state budget departments to get ready for that process that involves joint appropriations and eventually gets delivered to the legislature at the beginning of next year. So when we were here for our meeting on August 29th, we reviewed a copy of the annual report that was due from our agency to the state budget department on that day, and I can confirm that was submitted. I also presented a draft copy of our strategic plan that was, and the strategic plan is due for all agencies on August 29th as well. However, due to issues with the IBARS system, which is the platform that generates our budget and narrative, there were issues with generating our reports that would feed into the strategic plan. So we received from the state budget department a kind of a stay on the submission there, extension on the submission, until that budget and narrative was completed and delivered and approved by our agency. The budget and narrative were delivered on the 12th from the state budget department, further reviewed by the administration and information accounting team, and then ultimately delivered to our agency. However, there are still small differences that myself and our CFO, Joseph Saldana, are looking to rectify. There's nothing necessarily material that is off base, but it is our first time going through this process and in all its formalities. We're aware that there may be certain things that are accounted for that we're not aware of, and want to make sure that we square those changes away before we approve anything. So we're still looking to do that in the fairly immediate future. And once that is done, we will submit the strategic plan to the state budget department. They make it available on their website, and we will make it available on ours too. Any questions on that? All right. Hearing none, we will move on to token management rules. Again, another verbal update. So in our meeting on August 4th, the token management rules were approved by the commission, and responsibility was delegated to the executive director to pursue the full promulgation process for both emergency and regular rulemaking. The emergency rule package was reviewed by the Attorney General's office and submitted for approval to the governor's office through upload to the Wyoming Administrative Record System, or WARS, which is the platform maintained by the Secretary of State. That approval has been completed from the SOS side. That will now go on to the governor's office for their sign-off. Separately, the regular rules package has been approved by the governor's office, uploaded to WARS, and was approved by the Secretary of State's office yesterday. So this is the process in which we need to have public comment on the rules for a minimum of 45 days. Our public notice regarding this upload is expected to go out tomorrow morning to kick off that clock. And the date by which commentary could be submitted will be November 6th. So that'll be about 49 to 50 days of public comments. We always like to add a little bit of a buffer there in case things go sideways one way or another on getting the distributions out, but we've got time to receive those comments from the public. Any questions on the token management piece? Okay. Hearing none, we will proceed on to policy updates. Again, no memo or anything. This is quite a quick update, but you do have two pieces of paper in front of you, or two packets of paper in front of you. These are slight tweaks to both the user agreement and the risk disclosures. Before I get into the substance of those, I will note that following the promulgation of the reserves management rules, in Chapter 1, Section 4, we have a delegation of certain authorities by the commission, because our statute empowers the commission, not the director. Certain abilities are granted to the director and the commission staff, including at Section 4, subsection A, Romanet 4. The commission hereby agrees to delegate to the director limited authority to create, implement, amend, and maintain the terms, conditions, and privacy policy of the Wyoming Stable Token, following initial approval by the commission by a majority vote. So again, those approvals from the commission were received on August 4th as well. That allowed us to start making these smaller changes to the user agreement and risk disclosures as necessary. So if you look at both of those documents, the same change is in both of them, which is in terms of the activities that we cover, in terms of how you could interact with a Wyoming stable token. In addition to the initial list of purchase, hold, spend, transfer, or redeem or otherwise use, we've added the term listing and we've added the term distribution. Because as we've had conversations with some of our potential licensed service providers, they work a little bit differently. Some function as in a fairly autonomous way, where just simply technology or code is matching orders to the movement of money. So we wanted to make sure that no matter which kind of structure was being used, we were able to bind all of the LSPs to our user agreement, and by extension, the risk disclosure addendum, which is considered to be part of the user agreement. And you'll see that same change made across in the user agreement, page 1, 4, and 12. And again, that's really the only change we made in this. So you have that. And then in the risk disclosures addendum, the same change around listing and distribution was made on pages 1, 5, and 6. So all of that content is there. You'll see that there's updates. When we update these things going forward, we will update the document history on that last page. That gives us a good history of when things are presented and approved. This is not intended for any formal approval. Again, we now have the capacity to make these changes ourselves as an agency. Again, the director and my ability to further delegate some of these authorities to the commission staff. But that is all done as long as we tell you about it at the next regular meeting of the commission, which is what we're doing now. Any questions on those updates? Okay. Hearing none, we'll quickly go into the stable token industry update. Stablecoin market cap is currently, I think it's at an all-time high of $282 billion. That is up $109 billion or 63% from this time last year at 173. And over the last 30 days, stablecoins performed $3.2 trillion in monthly transfer volume. On the domestic side of things, the SEC's crypto task force has now begun its on-the-road roadshow. They're going to several cities all along the U.S., talking to smaller teams that may not be the ones who get the TC to do lobbying and speak with the regulators all the time. They're talking to smaller startups building in this domain. And I will note, they recently had one in Chicago earlier this week, and Excova, who provided a demo at our last session, was invited to speak at that roundtable as well, which means 2 of the 5 pilot programs we've tagged have been invited to perform federal testimony, which I think speaks to the import of what we're doing here. I will also note that the Anti-CBDC Act, initially pushed for earlier this year, was expected to be included in the National Defense Authorization Act as must-pass legislation. My understanding now is that on Tuesday, the House amended their version of the Market Structure Bill, the Clarity Act, to include the anti-CBDC provision ahead of sending that to the Senate. So it looks like the Anti-CBDC Act will be removed from the NDAA. We'll see how that goes. Again, the Senate is still working on the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, which has its own anti-CBDC provision. So we will keep monitoring how that nets out. From some of our international lens, in the UK, their Financial Conduct Authority released several proposals that may exempt digital asset companies from rules that are currently applicable to financial services companies to balance innovation, market integrity, and trust. That's their words. Conversely, in the EU, France's Security Authority, which is the AMF, warned they may try to block some crypto firms licensed in the EU countries from operating domestically as part of a push to get oversight transferred from the bloc's central securities regulator. So this is all downstream of the way that MiCA, or the Market and Crypto Asset Regulation in the EU, is structured, where it's meant to be legislation over the full EU, but you can have different member states with different policies. So they're concerned that whoever kind of is the lowest rung there, people will fly there because of the easiest oversight to comply with. And I guess the French AMF is worried about that. So they want to kind of bolster the cross-border piece. And then from the incumbent side of things, I wanted to mention that Tether announced a US-based stablecoin called USAT, compliant with the Genius Act. Anchorage will be the issuer, Cantor Fitzgerald will manage reserves, and Bo Hines, who is the former executive director at the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets, will serve as CEO. Paxos, which is a stablecoin issuer and one of the first blockchain tokenization companies to be granted a limited purpose trust charter under NYDFS, will be converting that trust charter from the state level to a national charter under the OCC. And then Circle has further developed partnerships with Kraken and Paxos to increase their liquidity and open up European markets. So they'll have some euro-denominated stablecoins in there as well. Any questions on the industry update? Okay, hearing none, Madam Auditor, I'll move on to next steps and kind of take us home. So For next steps, we do have some remaining vendor contracts. Again, that will be downstream of some of the actions that were taken today. And again, I think we've been, we saw a kind of a bump today in the financials, but I think that being said, we're still, have a really tight bind around this from a financial perspective to make sure that we're spending what we need to month and not much more. In terms of engaging licensed service providers, again, those entities that help us kind of resell a Wyoming stable token. We are working through the Know Your Business diligence with some of them, and that is being led by our Chief Risk and Compliance Officer, Deb Brooks. From a pilot program perspective, again, we had a punt on a couple of demonstrations because of the lengthier executive session today, but we do expect at the next meeting that we will be joined by Cattle Proof, which is a USDA verified platform that we've mentioned before. They're building on Solana. Their goal is to demonstrate the movement of steer data along with value and how they've wired up their marketplaces. And then the second one will be called Toku, which is working to demonstrate how you could distribute front as part of a monthly payroll process. So if you have employees that want to get paid out some portion of their salary in stable coins or stable tokens, they'll demonstrate the ability to do that. And then the last thing I have on next steps is the blockchain selection exercise. We'll work on the updated criteria ahead of the next month. Commissioner Meyer, during the last discussion, we talked about adding geographic distribution in some way, shape, or form to the list of additional benefits to show that geographic distribution. Our team has taken a couple of early attempts at how to formalize and score that. There are some complexities there with the lack of uniformity for data. So we're looking into a number of different vectors that could help demonstrate the kind of geographic distribution you're talking about. Some of that might just be utilization by country, and we have a decent idea of like which stable coins are used where. Stable coin, called TVL, the amount of essentially the stable coin market cap per country. And we're also even looking into the number of validators or nodes that may be established in different countries. We are working with our partner Inca Digital to pull some of that data in, which is to say we're getting there, but we didn't want to paint an incomplete picture during today's conversation. So we will look to get that done in the next discussion. Any questions on the next steps? Okay. Then I will quickly point to our upcoming meetings and events. We have the Select Committee on Blockchain, Financial Technology, and Digital Innovation Technology occurring at September 22nd through 23rd. Both of those are full days taking place at the Co-Library in Laramie. And my testimony will be on early in the morning on September 22nd. I think I'm at the 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock spot. Then our next regular meeting will be October 21st. Same place, same time. And the reason we punted, I will note that that is a Tuesday. We punted from the typical third Thursday of October because a number of us will be at the Wyoming Global Technology Summit hosted by the Jackson Hole Technology Partnership the prior week on the 16th. And I believe the governor will be speaking there, Senator Lummis will be speaking there as well. Any questions on the upcoming events? Hearing none. Regarding public comment, duration will be limited to 3 minutes per speaking party or one question from an online participant. Speakers will be asked to provide their first name, last name, and affiliation for the public record per Wyoming Statute 16-4-403B. Decorum will be governed by the rules and standards of Management Council Policy 18-03 and Wyoming Statute 16-4-406. Madam Chairman, to you.
I will ask for public comment now. I'll go to the room first. Okay, don't see anyone. Do we have anyone online? We do? Okay.
No one online?
It appears we do have some public comment. If you could please give your first and last name and then go ahead and give us your public comment.
Yes, Maggie Wisniewski. I'm a citizen here in Sheridan, Wyoming. So I only have one question, is that right?
No, go ahead. We typically manage about 3 minutes each, but we can be flexible there. So if you have comments to provide us, go ahead.
Okay, real fine. Thanks so much. You folks really been doing your homework. Question for Director Apollo. You said that the SEC task force is doing an anti-CBDC act. Can you clarify where they stand on that position now and where we can obtain more information?
So through the chair, and thank you for the question. To be clear, the SEC is, what I was mentioning about the SEC is that they're performing a series of roundtables. So they've had a number of those in DC and invited kind of the big industry players to those. What they're doing now is going to several kind of metropolitan hubs all throughout the US to meet with smaller teams to get input from them and hear from builders in the digital asset space who may not have the ability or wherewithal to get to DC and get into some of those discussions. So that's the SEC side of things. Regarding the anti-CBDC provision that you have referenced, that is something that is being drafted at the federal level, the congressional level. So where we stand right now is that the House is working on a broader digital assets market structure bill called the Clarity Act. And the Senate is working, including Senator Lummis, to be specific, the Senate is working on a separate market structure bill called the Responsible Financial Innovation Act, or the RFIA. Based on the update I gave a few moments ago, the understanding now is that both of those bills, those broader market structure bills, have included the anti-CBDC provision that was discussed earlier in the year inside of those bills, as opposed to having them extricated and added to the National Defense Authorization Act, which is kind of a must-pass piece of legislation that goes through every year, as far as I understand it. Hopefully that helps answer the question. If you go to the Senate.gov or House.gov, you should be able to find the appropriate version of the bills for that.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Secondly, what we see that you, in your budget, you went to the SALT. Some interesting cast of characters. You know, Wyoming Stable Token, I thought, was state issued. And now I see that, what is it? 26 LSO 0057. And I'm just diving into a couple of bills that you folks are looking at. You know, why are we looking at commodity and exchange? Because when the Biden administration was in, you folks decided not to run and register with the SEC. And now you're looking for their assistance on this particular bill. So you know, what are we doing? State, federal, you know, domestic,
think that's
international? What are you guys doing?
I think that's a legislative action. I don't believe it has anything to do with us, and I think one of the commodities.
Oh, sure it does, Mr.
Well,
Treasurer Meyer.
You know, I mean, not directly with us. I think one of the things, and I haven't read the bill, but I think the genesis of it is that somebody I had heard wanted to do a gold token, and so that's in the commodity range, and so that's something that you know, I'm just trying to be intuitive by the title of the bill, having not had the opportunity to go over it, but that's from what I understand, that there was going to be an effort to do a gold token, and someone also thought about doing tokens on oil. But as far as the commission, we haven't asked for any commodity, gold, oil, or otherwise.
And so you're still not considered a security, is that right?
Correct. We're not a security.
Okay, real good. But all of this action is being backed by US taxpayer dollars, is that correct?
It's all backed, the stable token is backed 100% by US Treasury notes and cash and other things that are you know, as solid and liquid as investment as the legislature could direct us to use.
Mr. Treasurer, may I just, Mr. Wisniewski, I just want to clarify which bill you're looking at, 26 LSO?
26 LSO 0057.
Which line are you looking at in regards to the question that you have?
I have notes, I've been just diving into it. Page 1, line 19 says research
So
CFR.
would you mind, and not to dive into the semantics here, but would you mind telling me which version number you have in the top right corner? Because the most recent version that's going to be presented at the select committee meeting next week does not contemplate that, the version I'm looking at right now.
So this bill is dead, is that correct?
No, what I'm referring to is the version number. So if you were to go to the WyoLedge website, which again, I will be specific and echo the treasurer, is not our work. This is the work of the legislature, not our commission nor agency. But if you go to the WyoLedge website, navigate to the Select Committee on Blockchain, find the details page for the upcoming meeting in Laramie, and look at the most up-to-date version of 0057, the version that I have that's posted on the website, that's public, that everyone can access, is 0.6. This is the Stable Token Act amendments. There is nothing in here around commodities or federal oversight at all.
Right, then I must have been looking at an old version. I'll look at that later today. Thank you.
Of course.
Secondly, or lastly, I believe. Director Paula, you said something about, oh, where's my red flag? Let's see. Said something, it sounded like you were more concerned about the users want to keep their anonymity. So you're doing some new Anchorage. No, wait a minute. Okay, no. Darn it. You guys go so fast and my shorthand is not what it used to be. Hang on a minute.
Ms. Wisniewski, are you referring to a comment from this meeting or a prior meeting? Because we didn't really.
No,
speak-
this meeting. I'm sorry, this meeting.
We didn't, to my recollection, and I'm looking at the commissioners, I don't recall speaking about privacy preserving features or anonymity at any point.
Okay. Oh, I think it was when you were talking about the listing and distribution, page 1, 5, and 6 in your risk disclosure. LSP to our user agreement. Shoot. Anyways, no, sorry, my notes are not clear, but there was a comment you made, sir, that was referencing, I believe it was under your token magic rules, if I'm right. I'll have to go back and review the meeting. But anyways, it just, some things that you folks are doing just causes some red flags, and not just for me. There are other people that are interested as well, but I kind of, when you folks first started this a couple of years ago, it was with the understanding that you were going to use folks in the US for your vendors. And now that seems to you have broadened your horizon substantially.
And which
Am
vendors
I-
would these be specifically?
Yeah, if you could indicate which vendors might you be referring
Well,
to?
there was a vendor that was giving a demonstration a couple months back, and when he was given a demonstration, the screen went totally blank. So a lot of his presentation, Joe Public couldn't see. That was a little frustrating. And there was a vendor, gosh, back in, I have about 4 booklets, 3 years ago. Anyways, and it seemed that the Wyoming Stable Token wanted to deal with vendors specifically in the United States. And apparently we have sidestepped a lot of red tape rules and regulations. And now we seem to be working with vendors on a global level. Is that correct?
With due respect, I would need to know who those vendors are. There's nothing.
Well, just a question in general, Director Apollo.
Well,
Are we working with vendors based in the US or are we working with vendors based in other countries?
There's, to my knowledge, these vendors are in the US. And
Okay,
if you have a different understanding, please let me know. Um,
okay,
And I would say beyond that, our procurement process has been created and worked on in an open forum. We talked about it, several times along the way. The request for qualifications were public. The request for proposals were public. And there's, additional points in those for being a Wyoming domiciled entity. You mentioned demonstrations. Any demonstrations with the Frontier Stable Token, Wyoming Stable Token has been in tandem with a Wyoming domiciled company. And to the extent that if any of those had technical issues, we have gone through the effort of hosting those demonstrations on our website or YouTube channel. So those are all there.
okay. And one other question lastly, I have another appointment I got to run to. Are we competing with the private sector with the Wyoming Stable Token or the Frontier Token?
Based on the discussions we're having with a large number of states, other nations or public entities that have expressed interest, NGOs, it seems that there's a lot of interest in what we're doing because we are a public good in opposition to companies like that are perhaps public state. Well, it's tough. Stablecoin issuers that have gone through the IPO process who have an ultimate responsibility to their shareholders and not their end users, nor as a public good. We stand in stark opposition to that. I think a lot of the interest that we're getting is not interest that the private sector is getting.
So a simple yes or no.
The answer would be no then.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, thank you so much, folks. We'll see you on the 22nd and the 23rd. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of company.
Before you go, if you would, one of the things I want to try to do is make our website a lot more user friendly. And so if you've got any areas where you would like to maybe see a change in the website in some way, just email Kurt.
Oh, Mr.
Yeah,
Treasurer Meyer,
yeah.
bless your heart. Thank you. Yes,
Yeah,
actually, I don't mean to talk over you, but I really truly have to run. Do you have a list of your commissioners and also that are involved in the stable token? Because I tried to look that up this morning, a question was presented to me. And I don't know who's on your commission. I know Kurt Meyer.
I've already talked to Anthony about some of the other commissioners about, getting our names on there, a short little discussion about who we are, what we do, or that. So we kind of do the same thing with our investment funds group. So I think we want to try to get that on there. I want to try to make sure that we have just a list of all of the different functions that has to happen and the vendors that have those. And to Anthony's point, we did basically have in our scoring process preference points given to every vendor that applied if they're from Wyoming. And so, and there are some vendors that actually relocated in Wyoming after they got put on our list to do a function. So we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we've got Wyoming folks here because it's just so much easier to do business in Wyoming than any other state in the country.
And I would just quickly note, Treasurer Meyer, the list of commissioners is noted on all public distributions, press releases, memos that go out through this agency.
Does it have any, information about any of them as far as?
No, we're working on the new
Working on
website to
that,
upload
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but if you've got some specific things, just email me at kurt.meyer@wyo.gov and, or go ahead and directly communicate with the stable token. What's that email address?
stabletoken.wyo.gov.
Okay, all right.
Good,
Thanks
good.
for your
Okay.
participation.
Thank you so much, folks. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. And it looks like maybe we do have another individual. Go ahead and give us your first and last name, please, and provide your comment.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my name is Joseph Cachado. I'm in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And boy, I'm really going to show my ignorance here, but so I was just interested in buying some of this Wyoming stable token. And is it available to the public yet?
Thank you for that great, easy question, and the director will answer that now.
Joe, good to speak with you again.
Yeah.
Frontier stable token is not yet available for public sale. If you heard a little earlier in the meeting, we are still looking to finalize some of these vendor agreements that are taking a little longer than we perhaps thought they would. But we are excited to get this thing launched. We are working around the clock to get there, and we appreciate your early support. So thank you for tagging in again.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's great. So I mean, I generally trust the state of Wyoming, so I'm not too worried about all these things. I guess my other question, and I've never used Kraken or any of these other type of things. And I've already been verified on Kraken, and it's a pretty lengthy process. I think it's a pretty reputable thing. But I guess my question is this: it's pretty simple. I just link my checking account to this Kraken, and I can transfer $5,000 in there, and I can buy these stable coins, the Wyoming stable coin. That's not a problem. I guess my question is when I get that money in there, it appears that there's fees for transferring or doing, and I guess this may be a dumb question, but how would I spend these stable tokens? If I decide to spend them, can I put them in my phone, in my wallet? I mean, these are just kind of rudimentary questions, but I mean, I have no idea. And so before I do something like this, I'd like to know how it kind of works.
May I take a
You
stab
may.
at this
Go
one?
ahead.
Thank you. Joseph, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your last name, so
Casiato.
Casiato. Okay. Sir, thank you for that question, because I think what I love about this and what I love about being on this commission is that we are watching an entire sub-industry kind of begin and grow with this as far as how and when you'll be able to spend those. Right now, of course, stable tokens aren't accepted everywhere, and the great thing about this is that we will see far more mainstreaming of it as we move along through this. Once we get the stable tokens issued, there are applications that will be invented and created, and places that you will be able to spend the stable token that nobody even envisions right now. So keep that in mind, and I certainly appreciate your support in this. The whole commission does, I'm sure. Please keep watch, and we'll keep trying to put out the absolute best product that can be that we can put out. So I love your questions, and thank you for supporting us.
Sure. So one more question. Can you have to go to like Kraken or one of these outfits when this becomes available to buy it, or can you buy it from the commission website, or is that no? You have to go to an exchange to get these.
So great question. In short, the commission is not going to be listing the Frontier stable token for sale on its own site for at least the foreseeable future. There are a lot of really robust cryptocurrency exchanges, payment platforms, other types of providers that we are partnering with. We refer to them as licensed service providers. Probably heard that a couple times in our discussions along the way. They already have incredibly robust technical platforms. They've got the appropriate KYC and AML compliance checks, which you referenced before during your onboarding to Kraken. So in our very early and embryonic stages here, we're relying on those third parties as partners to help us resell the token. But my personal hope would be in due time we could find a way to do direct distribution, but we're not going to be there for a little bit.
Okay, I understand that. So my last question, has anybody here used any of these platforms for any of these digital currencies? Bitcoin, whatever. And if so, do you have some idea what kind of fees you pay? Like if I put the $5,000 in there and I buy a Wyoming stable token, and if I needed some money out of that and I transferred it back into my checking account or I used it as a card, do you know what that costs? Do you have any idea?
So just to make sure we're staying in the realm of appropriate conversation on our side, I won't opine on any of the platforms. I will say that any licensed service provider that we work with will be listed on our site as someone who's gone through our internal diligence process, and also that we have tested the platform ourselves. In terms of fees, those are going to be set independently by those third parties. We do not have any control over that. But I'm sure a little bit of Googling will let you know who's got the lowest fees. And at the end of the day, their terms of service should be quite explicit about the fees that they would be charging for different types of, wires in, wires out, crypto in, crypto out. Those should all be provided to you.
Okay, and I looked for that in Kraken and I just didn't see it, but I will look under terms of service. So again, I thank you for your time. I'll be looking for it to come out.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thanks
thank
for your
you.
enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have anyone else who would like to make public comment from online? Okay, with that, I will close public comment. Anything else for the good of the order?
I'm just glad that we're taking another look at the website to make it as user-friendly as possible, because I haven't really visited it myself, so when I get there, I want to make sure I can
Yeah.
figure it out. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Not all at once.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.